Cowabunga, my fellow Doritos. It's spooky season, so we're gonna talk about spooky stuff.
It is spooky. Yeah, we're gonna be doing I don't know if you guys get this, but we're gonna be doing two episodes around spooky stuff. Today's gonna be about
Yep.
like actual horror, but on Halloween we're gonna be doing an episode about spooky with like four connotations there, I guess. We'll say that this
Oh yeah,
horror
that's a
versus
vibe.
aesthetic is how we're gonna be doing it. Because there's a Halloween
So
aesthetic
tell
and
them,
there's actual
how do you
horror.
feel about horror movies and like horror stuff?
I'm gonna be honest, I really respect horror as an art form, and I really, really like it. I just don't consume a lot
Oh,
of
that's
horror
valid.
media
I
like
feel like I don't
consistently.
necessarily can.
I like the most
Oh, I was gonna say
like
I feel like I don't
no, no, go ahead, go
necessarily
ahead.
consume it
I'll keep talking
consistently
after.
either, but I'd be
There's more
like,
talking
ooh,
points.
yeah, nice, nice,
It's really cool.
yeah.
It's like, yeah, yeah, I like this. But at the same time, I want to sleep. Like there are people who just
Yeah.
inhale only
I
horror
I
media, and I
I
don't
don't know. I'm not
understand
good at
it.
sticking to one like people who just listen to one genre of music or like they're so hardcore into it and they just talk about how their one genre is better than every other thing and I'm like, I don't know, bro. How where's the flavor? Where's the
Just
flavor?
listen to other music, bro. Yeah, where's the flavor?
No need to
It's like
call me
Dragon
out.
Ball fans on social media. I'm not calling
Yeah,
you out.
this
You at
week's
least
obsession
talk about other
is Yu Yu
shows.
Hakusho. I've not I've
You
not
you
breathed, I have not
let's go.
slept, I've not eaten. I've only Yu Yu Hakusho'd.
She's done nothing
Yeah,
but Yu Yu
it's
Hakusho for the past week. It's insane,
maybe a
guys. You have no
problem.
idea. She transformed from Gatsu from
Don't
Berserk
tip
to Hiei
me.
from Yu Yu Hakusho.
Anyway, back to spooky stuff.
Like horror media in general isn't stuff I consume a lot, but it's
Yeah,
so cool to just look at. Horror illustration specifically
yeah.
is so much fun to do because it just seems like you're doing.
I
How
feel
can I
like,
make this
and
screwed
I feel
up?
like with horror, things can
Just
be a lot
so
more
screwed up.
abstract because that's what we fear the most, like things we don't know. Like if like people who are scared of the dark or like just being in darkness is mad spooky. So things that are like vague, do you know what I mean? Uh if it lacks details, sometimes it
Yeah.
just works better
Well, I
that
mean,
way.
basically, like with yeah, but like with your darkness thing, it's like you're in the
Yep.
darkness, you can't see anything. You don't know, even if you think you know what's out there. Like I'm in a basement right now. If I turn off the lights,
Right.
I
Yeah,
know
what
I'd
is
be in a
in the
basement. But
basement?
what is
Ooh.
around me? I don't know anymore. The second I turn off the lights, something could have my treadmill could have come to life. You never know.
Transformers treadmill edition.
It's wild. Horror is so strange because it's people basically figuring
Oh
out
yeah,
how they can screw
definitely.
everyone else up.
Horror's so good.
The best horror authors or artists just know what
Yeah.
makes you
I feel like
recoil
some things
in
though
the
are like
worst kind
easy
of
to pull
way.
off. Like in horror movies, like jump scares. Uh
Well, jump scares are like the
yeah.
lowest form of horror, honestly. And I'm saying this as a Five Nights at Freddy's fan.
Oh
Jump
my God.
scares are
When like
not
Five Nights at
scary in the
Freddy's first came
slightest.
out, like there was only the first two games. I used to spend like I used to have to go like after school somewhere and it would always be mad dark and I would just bring headphones and play FNAF in the darkness instead of doing homework.
Uh, I never played FNAF in darkness. I'm probably gonna play the new one in a dark room on a big
Valid.
TV, so that's gonna be no sleep for me in a bit. But I don't know. It's just so strange how horror can change the way we act in consuming media. When like you're watching a comedy, you're watching a romance movie, it's always going to be like the same kind of thing, right? You're just sitting there watching it or reading the comic or making the drawing or whatever. But in horror, there's a whole different way you got to
You have to
change your
morph.
brain to
You
think
have to
like,
adapt.
what is? Why do I think what's not
Yeah.
good
I feel like, do you
is
ever think
good?
about like, first off, ghosts are always from like the 1400s. Like, bruh, people always dying. Can we get some 2009 ghost? But like, I understand respect the fact that ghosts are always from like the olden days because that makes them spookier. Or like if it's like a little girl, and not
Does he really though? Imagine you had like a ghost from like the stock market crash of
yeah, but
2008.
like
That'd be
also they'd be
hilarious and
probably
scary.
terrified of us. Like nowadays people have like piercings and like colored hair and stuff and they'd be like the devil like
Just like a ghost from 1999 comes out. What is what in
King of the
good
Hill.
God is that?
It's always I feel like in horror it's always the things that we don't expect. Like it's always some little girl because we expect like children to be the pinnacle of innocence and little girls like even more than little boys.
But at the same time, if you've consumed like more than two pieces of horror
Yeah,
media, you'll know the
yeah,
little girl trope, and it doesn't become scary anymore. It just
yeah.
becomes like, when is she gonna scare me? Because it still ends
I
up
feel
being
like there was a
scary, but it
point in
doesn't end up
time
being
with like horror
surprising.
movies when they
If
just kept coming like back to back. Like I like oh like years and years ago, like The Conjuring came out. First it was Insidious. Insidious was really good, and then like The Conjuring, the first one was really good too. And then like there were 50 more Insidious, and then there are 50 more Conjuring movies, and now I'm like okay. And now there's like The Nun, and okay.
was it?
Yeah,
Yeah, there was the
yeah.
Nun.
I
That
feel
was
like
awful.
when I watch scary movies, I don't necessarily get
That wasn't
scared, but
good.
it's like afterwards and I'm laying in bed, like trying to sleep.
Then
Yeah.
you realize the intent of it. Because the thing is, when you're watching a movie or like reading a comic, you're looking at this and you're like, I'm expecting to be scared. Maybe I'll just relax myself a bit. But when you're doing something else and then you just
Yeah.
think
I
about it
think
randomly, that's when it scares you the most.
effect on you.
If horror can have a lasting effect on you where
I
you
think the
remember
thing
it,
I was like one of the
that's when it
Conjuring
screws you up.
movies. So the stereotypical trope is like you open the door and there's a demon there. But there's one of like the Conjuring movies where the little girl like she opens the door and she's talking to her sisters and she's like, see, there's like no ghost here. And then she closes the door and the demon appears behind it. So like I spent all night with my door cracked, being like, all right, so now it can't be on either side of the door. Like, and I would like try to fall asleep and then I'd wake up like, is it there yet? I
What are you
remember being
doing?
like
What's outside of
really
my
little
door?
and my sister being like it was like a Wednesday and she was like, do you want to watch The Conjuring? And I said sure, and then she was like, cool, just don't tell mom. And I was really scared. I don't think I actually ended up telling my mom. I just think she was like, did you sleep? And I was like, yeah. Uh-huh.
I could never like say anything about like when I'm scared at night because even nowadays I'm still
That's
scared of things
valid.
in the dark when I'm going to sleep. I'm like, just look. I basically have to look at my wall to fall asleep. Because if I'm looking into the hallway, I'm like, what? Why did I see something move? Especially having a
Oh, I
black
know what you
dog,
mean.
like a dog with black fur. When you see something tiny moving around in the dark,
Yeah.
you think maybe it's your dog, right? Obviously, you should envision it being the dog that you know you've had for over 2 years now.
For
But
real.
then you just
What
think
if
about it.
something's
What if
taken
it
over its
isn't?
body? I've always
What if
Ooh, oh
what if
no.
it's a cat?
Not anything but a cat. Please, God. A million people are gonna unsubscribe and be like, "Excuse me, we actually love the Nyans." I always like have to sleep with my door open, but sometimes it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. What is it like? There's a what's her name, Rainbot, and like Mr. Nightmare and stuff, and they'd be like uploading videos like 3 a.m. as I'm like, okay, it's time to go to sleep, and then I feel like things like that scare me more.
I have 3 a.m. 3 a.m. the good time to sleep, of
I have.
course.
Oh yeah, you were like texting me about this one day. You were like, "Are you ever gonna fix your sleeping schedule?" And I was like,
Because I wake up the next morning and I see on your Instagram story, "Hey guys, it's 12
Yeah,
a.m. Time to talk about a
it's just
new
how it
anime
works.
opening."
It's just how
Woo!
my schedule. I'm effectively
It's how it
nocturnal.
has to be. I like to think I'm nocturnal, but because of how much I have to end up doing in the day lately, I
Aw,
haven't been as nocturnal anymore, and
homeboy
it makes
wants
me
to be a
sad.
vampire.
Because I love, for real, I'm out here trying to be like Dracula from
Oh
Hotel
my god,
Transylvania.
do you know that
All I
video
gotta
where
do
it's
is
like
learn how to
him
rap like
dancing, but
him.
it's the box?
I've
Oh wait,
seen that,
speaking of
yeah.
Dracula, I remember this is kind of relevant
Oh,
to horror, but I remember watching Hellsing Ultimate like for the first time and being
go
like,
ahead, yeah.
his name is Alucard. His name is Alucard and
Such a
it's
rad
Dracula
show.
backwards, and that's so cool. But like then realizing that that's like the 50th millionth time that that thing has been done, like that some vampires named Alucard.
That was me when I was playing Castlevania Symphony of the Night for the first time. I
Oh,
was like,
I
oh,
see what
oh
you did
wait, they got
there.
me. Oh, look at that. His name's Alucard. That's pretty
uh,
funny, I think. But like, I don't know. Horror is so strange because like we're not. It's clear that we don't consume enough
no, no,
horror
no. Allow
media
me
to
to whip
actually be
out my
talking about this right now.
secret
But at the same time,
passion.
we know just
Well,
enough.
I was really
Oh,
hyped because they're
secret
remaking
weapon.
Higurashi When They Cry, which if you love blood and gore and anime characters killing each other, watch it. The theme song is a bop, but I haven't seen the remake and like episodes yet, but I've seen clips of it. If you like gore, watch it. If you like gore, watch Higurashi, another watch Elfen Lied or Elfen Lied. So many people pronounce it Elfen Lied, but it's Lied. That's lied, right? Lied. Am I
Leid, you
dumb?
said?
Yeah, okay. Everybody's like,
Lid.
yeah,
That's
Elfin
lied.
lead.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Lead.
L-I.
Lead is
Yeah,
L E. Lead is
wait, am
Leid.
I wrong? Anyway, watch the anime.
No, you're
Watch
not. You're
the
not. You're not.
anime.
You're not. You're.
I can't wait
Anyways,
for somebody to be
don't
like,
call us stupid in the
dumb idiot,
comments.
dummy, stupid McDummerson. It's the other way
You
around. And then
dumb
I'll be like, oh, I've just been wrong
idiots.
this whole time. But anyway, the theme song,
Yes, I validated my opinion by
I can't
commenting
wait
on
to
this
like cry myself to
podcast.
sleep when somebody
Yes.
comments on this video calling me stupid and then spending the rest of my life proving myself.
Oh, that'd be the worst.
We're
We're
gonna be
gonna we're
like,
gonna get
anyway,
one
due
hate
to
comments and
personal
then we're gonna
reasons, we
shut down
gotta
the channel.
go.
We're done, guys.
We gotta go.
We gotta go, bro. We're going on
But
hiatus
yeah,
again.
they're really good. Well, the theme songs to both those animes are a bop. I don't remember the theme song to another, so it's probably not a bop. But I remember watching them. I was like really young, and I probably shouldn't have. There's like a scene that always stuck with me where this girl puts a knife to the wall. Am I allowed to say that? She like stabs her head out. Anyway, warning. Okay, okay.
You could say that as long as we
But
don't
there
show
also
it.
came
I'm
like a
not
lot
gonna
of
be showing
cutesy
it.
I stuff out of it, but like it's just like anime characters killing each other in like the 80s or whatever.
You see, I've looked it up, and the
I'm pretty
manga
sure
looks
it's
way scarier than the
Higurashi
anime.
started off as like a visual novel. And the art was certainly like mid 2000s I make anime art. Yeah, and
Yeah,
it
I
like
can.
after
You
that
can
everybody
definitely
started
tell it
doing the
looks like
like black
that.
shading on the face to for like horror and like the kawaii moe girl that kills people.
Doesn't doesn't the fact that it looks like a
Oh,
traditional anime
definitely.
kind of
When this
help the
girl
idea
puts,
of the horror
first off,
by
there's like a
subverting
scene where this
expectations?
girl puts a knife to a wall and like slams her head into it. There's like this part where somebody like makes fun of this little girl. She drags a chair across a classroom and then beats the crap out of somebody else with it. And they're like pleading for their life. Oh my god. Both of these animes are extremely like gory and I probably should have watched them when I was like 9, but I think I turned out okay.
Yeah,
They
that
were on YouTube
that
and they
was
were
the best
free and it said
decision.
anime, so I just
Most screwed up thing I watched as a kid was that SpongeBob episode about looking at the
wait,
dark,
which episode?
and that episode screwed me up by looking in the dark. There's an episode where
I know
SpongeBob
what
is
you're
really scared of the
talking
dark, so he had
about.
to go in the freezer and saw a man's face.
I think the
Now,
thing that in
we want to talk
SpongeBob
about
that
true
the
horror.
only
That's
thing SpongeBob
horror
that's ever
right
gotten
there.
me is when they're doing like they're like moving the couch or whatever and Squidward's like foot or something or like yeah, the toe that like
Oh,
makes me cringe.
the
Like it
toenail.
takes like a lot
Oh,
to get me to cringe. I'm pretty like desensitized. Like when it comes to like horror and stuff, I'm like, oh, okay.
oh yeah.
Like but that I was like
Oh, it's disgusting. It's
yeah,
absolutely repulsive,
I'm
and most people would agree. There's another episode though that was like trying to be like horror-esque. It's called Ink Lemonade, also known as probably the
which
worst
one is
episode
that?
of the entire SpongeBob series. Came out like 2 years ago now. It's SpongeBob making lemonade and finding out that
Oh
Squidward's ink
no,
makes
this
it a
sounds
lot
like a
better. So it's
DeviantArt
like putting
fan
Squidward through like this
fiction.
torture. Yeah, 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 yeah. it's putting Squidward through this torture chamber to extract all the ink, and it's him getting mutilated, and
Isn't
like
there
he
like,
literally
remember
kills
like a
Squidward in
couple
the
years ago
episode.
when people were like, modern day SpongeBob has basically just become Squidward torture porn? Am I allowed to say that? And then like,
That's literally what it
and then
is,
and then
and it's a shame.
and then they were like, that's what we'll do. Also,
This our boy.
speaking of like kid shows that get like gory, I remember like being in a My Little Pony and then like the cupcake fanfic. Do you like, were you on the internet like when people were making My Little
Oh
Pony? There's
no.
this creepy pasta. Oh my god, I used to be so into creepy pastas.
I
Oh,
basically only been on the internet for like
I've
5 years
only
now,
lived in the
like
internet.
consistently.
Anyway, I've only existed in the real world, in the physical world as an entity for the past like 3 years. Anyway,
There she is. You know, she
I was
was a
just
line of code
binary at
until they
some
made
point.
her real.
Well, there's this like creepypasta that went around and it was like a rumor that each one of the main characters in My Little Pony was based off of like some girl that died, and like one of them was like what was it? I think like Rainbow Dash is this girl who's like obsessed with like sports because she had like an abusive home and she ends up like dying. Like it was all, people do that
Now,
all the
why
time.
would
Or
people
like, have
do
you ever? Oh
that?
my god, there's a whole Vocaloid song dedicated to like this theory about how what is it? Rugrats is all like Angelica's like hallucinations, and like one of them is like a stillborn baby. Like it was wild. Well, like in the peak of creepypastas, now nobody really cares about them.
I've never been around like the
I feel
creepy
like I've
pasta and
been a
conspiracy
part of like
community.
every
I've
internet
never been around that
community
kind
with
of
the
stuff.
exception of like Undertale. Uh
Ooh, that was the
that
community
was the
that got me
beginning of
started.
Alice.
Hey,
All of my friends, I remember like trick or treating with one of my
that was the
friends who
beginning of the
cosplayed
end.
as the robot one that I don't remember the name of. Yeah, with that one funky song.
Metaton. My first big cosplay was me
Oh, of
dressing up as
course.
Sans for Montreal Comic Con. I made this huge mask out of fought. Wait, no, this should go in the Halloween episode. To get the full story,
Oh,
watch the
speak.
next episode.
Are we
Link in
doing Loki story
description for
time?
when
We
that
like,
comes out.
look, I should probably save this to make, I should probably save this to make videos on my YouTube channel, but I just really don't feel like animating the whole thing. But I remember like going to like haunted hayrides with my family, and bruh, I learned that when somebody chases you with a chainsaw, you accelerate beyond human capabilities. No, no,
You just see that
I didn't mean to
chainsaw
see
and
it. I could
zoom,
just
there
hear
she
it.
goes.
I'll be out. Well, I think the funniest part, uh,
Yeah, honestly,
yeah, at
the
the
sound of a
end.
chainsaw is so
Well, I
distinct, though.
kept
Yeah.
thinking, like, this is a hay maze, so anybody who just wanted to murder people could just, like, do so, and nobody would, yeah, and nobody would think anything different because they'd be
Cut
like, oh,
through the
everybody's
hay.
already screaming. So I was like, dang, like, I mean, I could die, but it'll be fun.
I could, if this is how I'm gonna go out,
Towards the
I'm
end,
happy to
when
be that
what's
way, honestly.
supposed to happen is, like, a guy with a mask carrying a chainsaw is supposed to, like, come after you, and you run out of the maze, and that's the end of it. But see, I tripped and fell over nothing. And then everybody behind me proceeded to trip and fall. And then the guy
Oh.
with the chainsaw, like, stumbled over the pile of people and fell on the floor and dropped the chainsaw. And then he took off the mask and was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. You guys okay? And he was like, he was so concerned. He was so
He
concerned.
goofed up a bit.
But it really just
He
happened
goofed
because
up a
I
bit.
literally tripped over nothing. And then he was like, oh, you guys are okay? Like, are you guys fine? And we were like, yeah, like, it's good. And he's like, okay, I just want to make sure that nobody's hurt. Like, I feel really bad. And then he just put the mask on and, like, walked into the corn maze. And we never saw him again.
But I mean, at
Yeah, like,
least you
he
found
was
out he
pretty
wasn't an
pathetic.
actual
You know what I think
murderer.
about in horror movies?
That's the
I was
positive.
always like, why are they always walking? But, I mean, it makes sense because the actors can't run around with knives. Uh, and so, wait, horror movie music, I feel like when music can incense a fear, a feeling of like dread.
A horror movie
There's
music
this
is a
song
whole new
specifically in
game.
Resident Evil 4. Like, video games don't scare me, but there's like a scene where it's like thundering and raining, and you're in this like old beaten down village, and this song starts playing. It's not even a song; it's just sounds. And I was like, it like instant
It's
existential
noise.
crisis right now.
Like, you're technically right about the idea of music in horror media. Music just makes our skin crawl because there's a certain kind of noise that activates your fight or flight response. I do say this a lot on the podcast. I realize fight or
I feel
flight
like I want to
response.
go
It's
through
a
the
very good
podcast and make like
expression, I think.
highlights and like compilations of things, but then instead I just watch Yu Yu Hakusho.
Oh, oh yeah, when we
Oh
reach 50
yeah.
episodes, we'll do a highlighted video, guys. Definitely. I'm definitely not tired of listening to this podcast like 10 times to edit the audio.
Oh, there's this girl
Definitely not.
who made this
Definitely not
video
tired
about
of
the
that.
song, not the song, like the sound, like the ghost frequency, which it's a frequency that's like a certain amount of decibels that actually makes you have a physical reaction. Like you become like nauseous or like you start seeing things. And it's called the ghost frequency because the guy who discovered it thought he
Oh.
was seeing ghost, but it was just the sound causing his eyes to like produce things that weren't there. It's wild. It's also some of the same techniques. Have you ever heard of LRADs? Anyway,
No,
they're
not sure
these
actually. Could you
giant
explain that?
speaker
Go into
things
that,
that the
yeah.
military uses in to terrify people. I think I don't know if LRADs were used during
Oh.
Vietnam. Why do I know stuff about horror? Well, okay. Well, the reason
Hey, you're tapping
there
into
is
some
some
kind of
knowledge in my
knowledge in that
brain
brain.
beyond Dragon Ball and obscure other anime references.
Guys, she might say the big brave thing instead of me in this episode because I literally don't know anything about
Buckle
horror.
in, buckle.
It's like
Oh
politics.
god.
I know nothing. The most terrifying thing I could think about is like,
Ooh,
ooh, ship
deviant
fan
time
art
in
of
like
real
2010.
people.
Ooh.
Ooh. Ooh. That's a real horror
Oh
story in its
god.
own, though.
When
At
people
some point, this
start
podcast is going
cosplaying
to
real
devolve into us
people,
telling
this is
stories.
irrelevant, but I don't they'll be like, I'm cosplaying God, what's his name? I don't even remember his name. He plays video games. That's so vague.
That's you're a
There's
bit
recently a
vague there.
meme of him looking like the
Hmm.
guy from Total Drama Island. Why don't I remember his name? Yeah, people be like, I'm cosplaying Markiplier, and
Markiplier.
I'm like, he's
Markiplier.
just a dude. Like, he's just a regular dude. Anyway, back to LRADs.
Man. I don't understand.
Yeah,
Like you're literally wearing a
him looking.
T-shirt
Yeah, I don't get it.
and making your hair like him. I don't understand.
Yeah.
Maybe cosplaying like a rock star because they have eccentric outfits, in, like music videos and stuff, or even like
Uh,
gorillas
I
because
love
they're animated
gorillas.
characters. But
Like, what?
if you're gonna cosplay a
What?
YouTuber,
Oh my
at
god.
least
They'll
cosplay
be like, I'm
Ninja, bro. Come
cosplaying
on.
Jacksepticeye. And then they'll like get like one patch of colored hair in the front of their hair. And they'll wear like a Jacksepticeye t-shirt. And then they'll be like, listen to my accent. It's so authentic.
I'm I'm cosplaying I'm cosplaying as Jacksepticeye.
Oh
It
my
initiates
god.
the Irish potato famine.
Speaking of historical events, anyway, during Vietnam, Vietnam is terrible, but like I'm pretty sure that's when I don't know if they used LRADs, but I know they used like psychological warfare through sound, and it's like if you listen, you can like look it up and listen to like the things that they'd put like giant speakers in forests and stuff to terrify the soldiers going through there and like to mess with their brains. And LRADs can like pop your eardrums basically. And the reason why I've known of them, but the reason why I recently became more informed about them is because they were being used during protests to stop protesters. But it's been found that something as simple as like a poster board can block the sound from hitting you, and things like earplugs can't protect you. It's wild. Like they were once used like in front of certain stores, like because rowdy teenagers would come towards them or like near them to like get them to go away. They would play a frequency that only people of certain ages could hear, and it would agitate them so they wouldn't go into the stores. And that's the amount of brain cells that I have for this episode.
That's actually really I never knew that.
I
That's actually really interesting. But you're asking if they used LRADs in Vietnam. I just looked it up. There was this thing called the Hoshi. I'm gonna try to pronounce this. The Ho Chi Minh Trail,
yeah,
where they had
it's
those installed. It was a
terrifying.
trail. that
uh
in passage they were
like if you
used.
listen, like you can find the audio on YouTube. Imagine like being in a war, like you have nowhere where you are. You're like some 18-year-old kid, and you just got drafted into this war. I feel like things like that, that's terrifying. That's horror. I had to read this book. It was an autobiography from this guy who went to Vietnam, and he almost like deserted the country, but he couldn't bring himself to do it. And he was talking about how like losing his friends and stuff like that. There's like a scene in the book where they're like talking and laughing, and the one guy's talking about how he wants to like go back so he can be with his girlfriend and like draw comic books, and then he gets just shot in the head. Yeah, it's wild. Anyway,
Oh,
yeah, it's
oh,
oh no.
that
Oh,
actually
I'm
made me sad.
sorry. It's okay. It's
Oh
okay. It's
no.
okay, Goku. It's okay. It's okay, Master Roshi. Ha ha ha. Teehee, Goku.
Funny Goku, funny Goku.
Uh,
I'm
you
from
want to
planet
talk about
Earth. I'm
horror?
from planet Earth.
Every time I hear about Dragon Ball Heroes, what the heck
I
is
do.
going
We.
on?
Oh, you're so right though. Facts. Dragon Ball Heroes is a mess, and the fact that like
I
the
think
community's just eating it up.
I think
They're
it's
like,
like
but
the
bro,
same.
it's cool.
It's low key comes. It's like Super, but more intense. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes I'm like, okay, Dragon Ball Super is clearly like a lot of it's just kind of like nostalgia cash grab. Uh, a good amount. Oh my god, I can't wait.
Our
Someone's
last
gonna
arc
hear
is
me say
just
this in the
that.
podcast, and
Yeah.
then they're gonna come in my throat like everybody on Twitter. Oh my god. Uh, but like I was like, wow, because I rewatched what was it, The Tree of Might, and I was like, yo, I love Turles. Turles. Look at Turles, yo. And then
Look
I
at
was like, I
Turles.
went to go Google him, and it was like Dragon Ball Heroes, and I was like, what the heck is this?
Yeah, the problem is Dragon Ball Heroes
You
makes so
know,
many
weren't
things
we talking about
relevant
this?
that in the
How
way they
it's
shouldn't
wild how they
be.
haven't brought back Grandpa Gohan yet as like a nostalgic, like, look at this. Respected,
It's so wild
yeah.
how that's the only thing they've respected. Like Toriyama gave it a definitive end, and
Yeah.
Toei
It's
didn't
only a
roll him
couple
out the
years until
grave.
they run out of things to
Awesome,
roll out of the
good
grave,
on
and then
you,
they're like,
Toei.
alright, Grandpa Gohan back. And then they're gonna do some joke about like
Yeah,
Goku
for
being
real.
stupid and
Everything's
getting
coming back.
confused about the Gohans or something. Haha, Goku so
Aha, that's gonna be
stupid.
really
Ha,
funny.
Goku
I think
Goku
that'd be pretty
dumb.
funny.
Look how stupid
Look
he
how
is.
stupid Goku
Stupid
is.
monkey man.
The true, the true horror
Oh
here is
god. Oh
character
god.
flanderization. And that's what you've got to know.
Oh, oh,
Dun dun
oh.
dun dun.
I'm sorry. You know how I do
Oh,
be
oh,
like an
oh,
obsessive
yes.
Batman fan sometimes? Yeah, and I have a Joker poster.
For
It's
real,
making me think
yeah.
about that time that he was like, "Yo, I'm gonna take off my face." That's horror related.
I I have wanted an excuse to talk about New 52
Have at it.
Joker for so long now. No, I want to have a conversation. I just
Oh
want
no
to
no
don't want
no.
to just go at it because that'll be boring. But New 52 Joker, in like my opinion, is one of the most effective bits of
You know,
visual
oh my
horror
god,
I've
in the
ever seen
Court
in
of
a
Owls
comic.
book, what was it? I don't remember which one,
In
but
terms of
when I was about to say Goku,
yeah,
Jesus Christ, when Bruce is going through like
Dragon Ball brain rot.
oh my god! Right now we're on Yu Hakusho brain rot. But when Bruce is going through like what is it? He goes like underground and he's like going insane, going through like this maze that like the Court of Owls has set up, and you have to turn the book around while you read it. And he's like his like cowl is coming off, and his eyes are all bloodshot, and he's like screaming like, "Oh, like this is my town, like I can't hear you," and stuff like that. And then you like that was done so well. It's so like cinematic. I
I miss
miss
when
when
Batman
Batman
was
was
like
good.
that.
And then like remember that time he went through a whole arc of abusing Jason? Oh, love that. Remember when the Red
Yeah,
Hood and the
wasn't that
Outlaws book got
fun?
like really good for a little bit, and then they tried to cover up the abuse and by having and then they had Bruce abuse him, and then they had him make
Yeah.
some really look,
Mm-hmm.
comic books got so bad. I'm
All this is comic books are getting bad as
yeah,
of late.
I'm
The big
sorry.
comic
I
companies
like
ain't
fell out
doing
of
great
comic
right now.
books, but you know what I can always reliably count on? 90s and early 2000s Robin. Like that slap all the time. It hit.
Let's go.
Yo,
It did
when
hit.
oh wait, hang on. Joker.
But
I was
like,
going to say I was gonna
No, no,
talk
go
about
ahead.
how I
I'll
love
talk
Tim
about
Drake.
Joker after. Yeah, I was
I
gonna
was just
say
gonna say, uh, I love him.
Tim
Yeah,
Drake's a cool Robin.
I think the
They should
most
use him
recent things
more.
that I have been reading are like 90s Robin and like 90s Nightwing. Love that.
Hmm? I've been I've been
Oh, love
rereading
that.
Scott Pilgrim again.
I
Yep. But basically
yes.
New 52 Joker. In terms of writing and especially how the artists use the gimmick of his
Yeah.
face being
Death of the
off.
Family?
God damn. I need to reread the entire. I have the Death of the Family
Yeah, me
omnibus, so I have
too.
the whole story together. I don't have to have the individual
And
volume stuff.
Joker Endgame?
Oh my god, the
Oh
way
my
that story
god.
comes together. Oh, Joker's
To
and you
think
mean the one where he's
though.
like
Bro, I'm not
immortal?
even gonna lie.
The one where he's immortal goop. The one where he's immortal goop Joker and like he regrew his face and he can't die because he found another Lazarus pit under
No, I think the Joker
Gotham.
Endgame that
God,
I'm
that
wait,
was
I don't know if
another.
I'm
No,
mixing them up. It's been so long.
which one are you thinking of? Are,
Yeah, I
no, it's because they're
know.
both part of the same New 52
I
run, by
don't
the
know
way.
which one ends in what like he's like he found a new thing on the periodic table and it's just ha and you see the fly.
That
Oh
would
my god,
it's
I
hot. It's
met
hot. Yeah.
Greg Capullo and Scott Snyder
That's the end of
and
that's
they were
the end
talking
of
about
the
how
Death of the
they
Family
wanted
run.
that
Yeah.
like mystery because you know there's always flies like how there's like this little detail that they always had Greg draw like flies because you know the Joker's like rotting face and stuff and how in that final panel there's
Yeah.
like the fly in the bat cave leaving the mystery of whether or not the Joker has been there. That was wild.
That's the
Yeah.
thing. He probably has. And I just love that run of the Joker. It was really controversial because people were like, the Joker's getting too
Bro, what?
crazy. He's getting too psychotic. Let this new version of the Joker
Ah,
be
go
who he is.
crazy.
It was really
Ah, go
interesting.
stupid.
Go
Yeah.
stupid. Go stupid. Go crazy. But like, man, reading how he acted with every character, especially the story he had with Barbara, was
Oh yeah, with like
surprisingly
she
good.
was in like the skating ring or
All
whatever
this
with
to
like her
say,
mom and like her brother. Yeah, and he had the
yeah, yeah,
nail
yeah,
bomb.
and he had Barbara's mom, and
Yo, you're
he
bringing
cut
back
off
so
Barbara's
many
mom's finger
memories.
to ask
Oh
her to
my
marry
god.
him.
I used to reread these books so much. I used to be like so obsessively into Batman. And now it's Yu Yu Hakusho brain rot.
Yeah,
Haha,
you,
berserk, berserk,
Dragon
haha,
Ball Yu Yu
berserk,
Hakusho brain rot.
Dragon
It's
Ball.
different.
Haha, gassy berserk.
Haha, Gasu Berserk. Hey, it's better to be on Yu Yu Hakusho brain rot than Clone High brain rot. That's
I
all I'll
like
say.
your funny words, Magic Man.
Uh, I like your funny
Wow, that was
words,
like a
Magic
really good
Man.
impression.
Subscribe to quote unquote artists on
Well, now you gotta do it
YouTube.
because JFK's telling you
JFK told you to do it. He wasn't he like the best president? Yeah, he had a pretty
to.
long run, you
The
know.
way they made him built, why is he taken like that? Why are you taken like
I
that?
don't know why.
Uh,
I don't
wait,
know why.
horror. You want to talk about horror?
What
Why are
did
you
they
taken like that?
horror? I mean,
I feel like this is
we've been doing
every
a pretty good
podcast
job talking
episode.
about
We'd
horror.
be
Not gonna
like,
lie.
on topic, off topic, and then somebody's like, "Yo, we got off topic," and then somebody else goes, "Nah, nah, nah, we've been doing a good job," and then we continue to talk about something stupid.
We were doing a good
So
job.
yeah.
We just
Oh,
we only
wait,
went off a
horror
bit,
movie.
you
Oh
know.
wait, are we still talking about the Joker?
Horror movie.
Go
Yeah, but
for
no, I
it.
was
Go
just
for
gonna
it.
say one last point about like New 52 Joker.
Valid.
He's cool. More of you should look at the illustration of him dancing
I
with
feel
Batman's corpse. That's a
I feel
really
like
good
out of the
one.
New 52, Batman, like when the New 52
Yeah.
was a thing, Batman like carried it, and then like they were like everybody else hated everything else, and they were kind of like, oh, we gotta do something about this, but and then it was like
And then they
DCU,
did
and then it was like
Rebirth.
they Convergence. Do you remember Convergence? Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Oh, I don't
Oh
want to
my
remember
god!
Convergence.
Oh my god! You want to talk about horror? Let's talk about like DC from like 2011 to
The
2016.
management of comic
Oh
book companies.
Jesus! Oh
God
Jesus!
damn.
Thinking about like and then like thinking about
God
loose threads
damn.
prior to the New 52, like wasn't like Barbara and Dick were gonna get married. Like he sends her like a letter with like an engagement ring or something, and then we never know what happens, and we'll never know what happened. And now what's going on? There's like Joker War, and there's Punchline. How do you?
Punchline and a clown. Remember
Yeah,
when we made fun of how Clown Hunter looked?
Clown Hunter. I'm not trying to be rude, but Clown Hunter is like
Oh,
edgy
it's
teenage
awful.
boy, like like oh god.
For real. Also, I'm seeing people ship
Well, they're
Harley and
two
Punchline
women,
now,
and
and I'm
they
like, no.
both. I mean, they're drawn like that. Yeah. Whoa.
Exist in a comic book.
Whoa.
Whoa.
And they kind of wait. They kind of be
Whoa.
arguing a little bit
So
though.
epic.
Whoa. They kind of be arguing.
Are they arguing? Yeah, obviously
Oh
arguing means
yeah,
sexual
of
tension in
course,
the comic
of
book, right?
course.
Yeah, of course. It's obviously what it
Can
means.
we talk about
It
how
can't just
DC
mean
be
the
beating
characters
around the
don't
bush
like
for just
each other.
making
No,
her
no, no, no,
gay?
no, no,
Like
no.
Jesus Christ, what was it like?
They've
No.
made her
What was
gay a
it?
few
They like
times, but just
released
commit to
some. What was
it.
it? It was like Pride, and they were like they like released something with Harley and Ivy, but the description of it was like they're really close friends, gal
They're
pals.
very good friends. Yeah. I remember that.
You
It
want to
was a
talk
whole
about
video
horror?
promoting a
Let's
new
talk about
comic,
the queer
and they were
baiting.
like, they're really good friends.
Anyway, horror
Oh,
movies.
this man is topic and a half.
Oh, when it came out, I was like,
Horror
this is really
movies,
good.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
watched it like a few times, but in reflection, there are some scenes in it that, well, it hit. But like when Pennywise comes out of the refrigerator, I feel like knowing that Pennywise is some giant space ghost alien thing completely kills it. And the like intrigue of the horror comes from him being like, it. Nobody knows what it is. But I feel like that show was, not show, that movie was hilarious.
Yeah, nobody knows what he is.
Yeah.
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 It was quite funny on a rewatch, and
I didn't watch
And
It
It
Chapter
Chapter 2 I
2.
just
I
couldn't
know
take
everybody
seriously at
everybody
all.
was like, this is trash.
Hey, no.
Uh See, I'm
You
not really
avoided
into
a
movies
waste
too
of
much.
time.
Like normally if I end up watching a movie, I like really gotta want to do it, or somebody else is like, let's do something together. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I'll just consume any piece of media, you know me. I'm into
Valid,
anything
valid.
and everything as long as it's cool.
Oh,
Play games, I watch TV,
horror
I read
video game?
comics, I listen to music, everything.
Resident Evil. Oh my god, oh my god.
Let's
Okay,
talk about
so
Resident
look, I
Evil a
know this
bit,
doesn't
huh?
necessarily have to do with the horror aspect, but I've been replaying through Resident Evil 4 as I always am all the time, and I'm doing Ada's route. And there's this scene where oh my god, which
Yeah.
this is kind of low key spoilers, but it's like, I mean, this game came out in like 2005, and also, if you don't want to know what happens to
If you
Krauser,
don't want the spoilers,
leave.
leave.
But you found out in her route that she's the one who actually ends up killing him, and he has like this giant arm thing, and she looks at him and says something to the effect of like, "That's a god." They just wrote really bad lines. I don't even want to say.
Oh no,
Yeah,
Resident
but
Evil's always been
Resident Evil
kind of
2's
corny.
remake slapped. The horror in that, oh my god.
Oh,
The
that game scares me. Actually, I've
Resident
been
Evil
playing
7 is really
Resident
good
Evil
too.
7
The
since
scene where
October
you have to do
started.
that dream sequence where you have to stab yourself with like there's the doll and it's like writing the stuff down. You gotta inflate the balloon and it explodes with
The
the
clown.
spikes. And then there's the flame. That oh my god.
Yeah. It literally forces the thing that makes it so scary is that it
Yeah.
forces you into situations
Oh
you
my
can't
god, the
get out of
dad? When
without
you're in
doing it
like the
perfectly.
garage with the dad and he keeps coming back. When the police officer
Oh
finally shows
my
up and you think there's gonna
god.
be some type of resolve, and for him to die? What the heck? Also, I'm pretty sure that's the only black guy in the game. What the heck, dude?
God,
I
Resident
think
Evil
kind of.
8. Yeah. But Resident Evil 8 is going to be
Oh
wild
my god,
like Resident
that's
Evil
gonna be
7
the
too.
only
I'm
reason
so
I
excited for
get a
that game.
PlayStation 5. I
Excellent. It doesn't I mean, it's a good excuse. It's better than people buying it to play GTA 5 again. Like
I feel
Resident
like
Evil is
Resident Evil
so
8 is
good.
getting a little bit more like kind of mystical because like people are complaining because there's werewolves, which like a werewolf looking thing, and there might potentially be vampires. But if it's going,
Let's be completely honest. We have zombies created from a fictional
Umbrella.
virus
Oh my
from a
god, there's this really
supervillain
stupid
company
Resident Evil
named
movie where
Umbrella.
everybody gets turned into a zombie and then it like rains an antidote and then they automatic it's so dumb. Anyway, allow me to say
I
that
hate the movies. I
I
hate
grew
the
up with
Resident Evil
Resident Evil
movies.
4 being a cool guy Leon, but I 100% prefer Leon being a dork Leon. Like in Resident Evil 2,
No, but the thing with Resident Evil 2, Leon, the remake version, is that they gave him a bit more of the
yeah,
sass like
but
he
he's
had in
still a
4,
dork.
which is great.
Yeah, he's like,
Dorky Leon's good, but the
oh,
inevitable Resident
yeah,
Evil
I
4
know.
remakes
And
didn't give
the
us
thing,
badass
and then
Leon in
and then
4K.
Resident Evil 6, and he just became like stereotypical cool guy, man. Yeah,
He just became a
yeah.
Michael Bay
Well,
protagonist.
a lot of people,
Yeah. Man, isn't it
yeah,
cool to talk about how
yeah,
everything gets screwed up
yeah.
later on?
Well, okay,
Yeah.
Resident Evil 3 was kind of a letdown, in my opinion. I feel like,
Resident Evil.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
was so
I
excited. We
was
talked about
so
this a few
hyped, but
times now,
Resident Evil 2 felt really
but
organic. Walking into a room and hearing like the duh, duh of like Mr. X, and you're like, Jesus Christ, like you gotta run. He was so scripted.
meanwhile, Nemesis
Yeah, yeah,
Nemesis is just not that. The thing is, I before Resident Evil 3 came out, we were sharing every trailer with one another. We had at least little
yeah,
blurts about every single trailer. One thing we noticed
yeah.
that Nemesis looked so
His
cool, and we
crooked
hoped they used him
nose.
the same
Oh
way
my
they do
god,
with Mr. X,
oh my
and then they
god.
didn't do that. Oh my god. The fact that his design makes him
Yeah,
more human makes him scarier
yes,
because he
oh my
reminds you that
god.
he used to
I
be
was
a
so hyped.
person.
I was like, yo, Resident Evil 2 is so good. And Resident Evil 3 was like 5 minutes worth of a game. Uh,
They cut the graveyard. That makes me so mad every time
uh,
I think about
I
it.
don't think I actually. My sisters used to play like Resident Evil when I was younger, but I don't think they ever actually played Resident Evil 3. But I remember being little and like my sister was playing like the first Resident Evil game, and there's the scene where like the guy, like the zombie, like turns around, like turns his head around. Yeah,
Oh my god, that's the iconic
yeah.
scene everyone thinks about
And
from the
I was
remake.
like a
From
kid, and I was
yeah.
like, "Yo, he eats somebody."
The thing is, like looking at a PlayStation 1 and then seeing the
Wait,
FMV
wait.
of the zombie turning
You
on
want
is
to talk
so
about horror?
unexpected
Have
and
you
it
heard, you know, the remake of
scares.
that one song? And it sounds like a bunch of horns.
Are you talking about the basement from the
Yes,
basement
oh
from the
my god,
director's
it's so
cut?
bad. I feel like that's what this year
I know
feels
exactly which song
like.
you're talking
Wait,
about.
do you know the
Basement
whole
director's
reason why
cut.
they had to like they couldn't use the original soundtrack because the guy who like said that he made it was like some blind like prodigy, but it turned out that he wasn't even blind and he also didn't even make any of the music and there was this huge like lawsuit. Yeah, he like had
He
ghost rights and like the
plagiarized.
people who had like ghost producing his music basically were like, okay, we ain't getting paid enough for this. There's like a whole controversy behind it. It's wild. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, it's it actually makes this even scarier in my opinion because it makes me cry every time I hear the song.
It's so bad.
Yeah, horror is honestly really too fit for video games
Yeah.
because you're
Yeah.
there doing the thing. Minecraft
I don't
got scary all of a sudden. And I don't like it because they're adding like this new mob that with the strongest armor in the game, which by the way like
but
makes you basically invulnerable. He can still two tap you, and
uh,
he also only reacts to sounds. And he's unstoppable, and I hate it because Minecraft was always scary as a kid, but now they're making it scary for the kids who will grow up and like this game isn't scary anymore. So like, oh, we want a
I
bed
feel like
bit.
Minecraft is the thing like it's also another thing that I didn't get too deeply engulfed into. The last time I played Minecraft was like it was last January for my friend's birthday, and then all of my friends laughed at me because I was like, "What the heck am I doing?"
I haven't played like a proper Minecraft world in about
Wow.
2 years now. I play with my little cousins sometimes. Sometimes I'll play on a realm or a server, play mini games. But I've never sat down and done my own
Yeah.
Minecraft world with a friend or two. And it's something I
Yeah,
really
people
want to
who
do
like
again because it
make
seems like
their
fun.
like they have
Because I love
like I
Minecraft.
think it's mad cool the things people build in Minecraft.
We're probably gonna have
Yeah.
a wave of architects
To
soon who can
Minecraft.
attribute the
Oh my
beginning of the
god.
careers to Minecraft.
Oh, yeah.
Because some of the shit they build is like old style, and it looks better than some of the stuff new architects are doing. Like, have
Okay.
you seen that building in Australia that basically
What?
acted as a laser and
What?
it burnt cars. Okay, yeah. I gotta find this. I gotta find this. Australia
People
laser
always talk
building.
about like
No,
the
no.
animals in Australia that like,
Uh,
the giant spiders, the scorpions, the lizards, whatever the heck else they got going on. But now they got laser buildings. And wow.
there we go. There we go. The London skyscraper that
What?
can melt cars and set buildings on fire.
What?
It's 20 Fenchurch, aka London's most famous
Did they have like
laser.
another laser prior?
I don't know, but okay. Basically, this was designed by some guy, Raphael Vignoli, and it's a dramatic edifice with curved exterior walls, and it was built at 20 Fenchurch Street, and it's 38 stories tall. It's known as the walkie-talkie because it's shaped kind of like a walkie-talkie, and
Oh
basically,
my
it
God.
melted this guy's Jaguar car. And there's another, and according to this article, there's another power station in Spain
Jesus.
that does this as well. And you could have solar panels inside the building
Jesus.
and actually get energy from it.
So this was intentional?
Imagine being imagine being such a powerful
They
power plant that you
You
create
said
power.
power and I thought about Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man brain rot.
Chainsaw Man
Yeah.
episode coming when I
I haven't
catch up.
read the latest chapter. And Boku no Hero. I have to read the two latest chapters. I've been too busy watching Yu Yu Hakusho.
Haha, I've been too
That's
busy reading and
valid.
watching nothing.
Oh, that's
I've been
valid.
playing Crash
Oh,
Bandicoot 4
wait, hold on.
instead.
You mentioned something about sound earlier, and it made me think of A
Yeah,
Quiet Place, that
yeah.
horror movie, and that was done really good, and I really liked it.
That's
Yeah,
actually a
I really
really
enjoyed
good
it.
movie. I
And
was
the
so
like
surprised.
the way like the sign language and stuff was incorporated was done really well too. Haven't watched that
And
one.
then they made
Oh,
the
the
second
scene where
movie.
the mom steps on the nail and she has to like, oh, like I ooh,
Oh,
and she like gives birth, like
that scene
Jesus
hurts.
Christ.
Oh, while the monsters like, or like the scene where
Yeah,
she's
and it's like
like
the
on
baby.
and there's
Oh my
water rising and
God.
it's gonna drown the baby. If she doesn't, if she doesn't get to the creaky
Yeah. Those
crate
things made me
where the
think of like
baby is
liquors
kept,
though,
oh my
because don't
god.
they like in Resident Evil they only respond to like sound? Yo, those Johns, oh my God, those
Yeah,
things.
that's exactly it. It feels like we're all scared of things that react to sound because as a species, we're the most obnoxious
Yeah.
pieces of
I
crap
have like
ever.
a
So it's very hard
yeah.
to fight something that only reacts to sound. Damn. Yeah.
Anyway, I keep
What
hearing
now?
the
Said the
Resident Evil
audience.
director's cut song in my head. It's really clouding my ability to think thoughts.
Head
uh
empty. Only Resident Evil
and the
basement
original is so
themes.
good. Oh, Silent Hill. I've always wanted to experience those games, but I just heard that the remakes are trash. Uh
No, they're not remakes. Not
yeah, yeah,
remakes. It's just
yeah.
the re-releases that are on the HD consoles. Basically, if you want to
Yeah,
play the
yeah.
games, you need to buy the original copies because the HD collection for some reason doesn't just re-release the
Yeah.
games. It has to change things. Like they made the voice of the main character Troy Baker, and he sounds like he smokes 20 packs a day and shags my
That's so
mom before he
specific. Are
goes
you
to hunt monsters.
are you trying to tell me? Are you okay?
I'm okay. It's fine. I'm no. I'm fine. I'm fine. Don't don't
I
worry
like
about me.
Silent
Everything's
Hill. There's
going
like a bunch
good.
of franchises that I sit and watch like 40-minute analysis of things. Like in Silent Hill's that franchise. I've watched like a million year analysis of like the different games and themes and stuff, but I've never played a Silent Hill game.
The most exposure I've had to Silent Hill media was playing
Wait.
PT.
Oh, I know. Oh my
It
God.
was the playable
I
teaser for
remember that.
the canceled
I didn't get
Silent
to
Hill
I didn't
reboot,
get to
Silent
play that, but I
Hills.
remember when it was like a
And
thing and I was like, "Yo, this looks sick." And then we got what, Death Stranding. Oh
no,
yeah,
it's
I
because Silent
know.
Hill. It's okay. Here's what happened
And they
with
and he was
with
and
Konami and
isn't like in that
Kojima.
trailer he's calling them out for like controlling him or whatever. Doesn't he call them out throughout his games all the time?
Okay, so
Yes.
That's the thing. Konami
Pachinko.
is a shit company. They're
Pachinko
horrible to work with.
machines.
Um, so the thing is with Kojima, funny thing. After Metal Gear Solid 5, that was a game a lot of people liked. It was the
Yeah.
end of his most famous
And weren't they
series,
like,
right? He wasn't. Konami
yeah,
didn't
yeah, I
allow him
remember
to
that.
fly out to accept the award
Yeah, I
for
remember
Game
that.
of the Year.
Konami is,
They also rushed the
yeah,
story and released Metal
and
Gear
now,
Survive, which is a zombie survival game, and then he was making Silent Hills with
yeah.
a really talented writer, Guillermo del Toro. And instead, he got all the actors, including Conan O'Brien, to do Death Stranding. And Death Stranding has an amazing story.
Oh my
As a
God.
game, it looks boring, so
Hey.
boring. But supposedly, I've been reading, and apparently, there's rumors he's actually going to
Oh,
buy
well,
the rights
see,
to his
okay,
own
I know one of the
series.
main problems with Konami is that they're more interested in like, well, clearly making money, but the thing is like they're a bigger company than just making games. Like they have like other business things and they're more focused on
They're more focused,
pachinko game.
but they're
Do you
barely a
know
game
like
company
that's like
anymore.
the Silent Hill thing now? Yeah, like make like slot machines and
Slot
stuff.
machines, yeah, yeah, yeah. And there was also the Castlevania
Erotic
erotic
violence?
violence one, which sparked a
What?
lot of controversy. Yeah, that was no, no. It's the most wild slot machine ever. They turned
Now
Castlevania into
define
erotic
erotic
violence. It was the
violence. I just
funniest thing.
like
You just blue screened it. I'd say it's
okay.
yeah, erotic violence.
Okay.
That's the best way I can describe it. I'll share the video of the slot machine. This is really the only way to explain it. You just think they turn like Simon Belmont, who is this brain dead
Oh my
barbarian,
god.
into like a red haired twink in modern Castlevania, and I
Mm.
hate him. But I'm just gonna put it in DMs. I'm not gonna put it in the
I
general
love
chat
when
of
we're
our
recording
poor
podcasts
podcast
and
server.
everybody in the Discord just gets a bunch of random things. You know, the quote unquote artist group chat is a unique experience. Oh my god.
It's such a
Pinball
wild
machine.
place to be.
Oh my god.
Oh,
I have PTSD post
uh,
pinball traumatic stress.
post traumatic stress disorder. Yeah.
You want to talk about horror?
You want to talk
Uh,
about horror? A series that I think is really underrated. Not underrated. It's underrated in the sense that
oh
barely anybody plays
yeah.
its games. Metroid? Wow,
Oh
Metroid.
yeah, I've seen
Metroid
like
is
Let's
very
Plays or like
spooky.
streams of people play it, and it seems really interesting. I was recently watching. I don't know. There's this person named Miles
I've played.
J. He does like makeup and stuff. He's been like playing video games. He made a makeup tutorial of what he thinks Samus should look like, and it was like funny. But he was calling them out. He was like, "Why do so many Japanese games have dangerous blonde women with high ponytails?" He's like, "Where's the flavor?
Because that's what
Where's
they
the
think the white
flavor?"
people will like. Yeah, but the thing is, Samus
Yeah,
gets passed because she
that's
was the
like her whole
first.
thing is like, oh wow, it's actually a girl. Wow.
Well, that's the thing, that was her thing until they realized that
Yeah.
they wrote a really good story for her. Samus has Metroid has
Oh
one of
yeah,
the
isn't there
deepest
like
lores I think I've ever read
space
through for video games.
pirates?
To go through it, I'd need like 2 hours to my
Whole
own. There's a whole extended
no
universe that
no
can
no
make an
no.
amazing
You want to talk
sci-fi
about
movie
horror?
out of
Video
that.
game movies. That's horror. Oh my god, Resident Evil movies. The Resident Evil
Spooky.
movies.
Have you ever watched you ever watched
I no nah
the
no
Mario Brothers movie?
no.
That's a
Mm-mm.
trip.
There's this kid I
Don't
used to
don't
like
watch
sit
it.
next to
Don't
him
watch
in
it.
class, and every single day he thought like the Mario movie was the funniest thing, and like I don't know, I would just be nice because I just would, oh, like, how are you? And he'd be like, the Mario movie. And he was like, show me a clip of it. And I'd be like, oh, that's really funny. But I, like, on the inside, I'm like, please stop. Please
Super
stop.
fun. Nothing about the movie was
I
funny,
don't
not
even
even
think he ironically
ironically. It
enjoyed it.
was
He
just
really just would be
depressing.
like, the Mario. It was like his, like, screensaver and everything. Please.
Yeah, I feel like that's how everyone is at some point. They find one thing to really
Oh,
latch on.
like
They're
you
like,
and
"Oh,
Ninja?
this is the funniest thing," and then like a week later, hey, hey, hey! The difference is he's actually a
uh,
pretty chill guy when he's
you
not
know,
screaming at 10-year-olds.
I feel like
That's it.
if
The problem
Yeah.
is he still screams at
I
10-year-olds,
like did like
so
a couple months ago. Doesn't he have a
that's the
wife? I
biggest
didn't know he
problem
had a
with the
wife until like
equation.
a couple months ago. She said something dumb on Twitter.
No, he's almost. I didn't know he was
It's like
almost 30.
I feel like being like when you're a kid and you like, oh, somebody's 15. Wow, that's like the pinnacle of life. And then like you turn like you become a teenager and you're like, Jesus Christ, I have like 10 years left before I'm old. Like
My problem with Ninja is how the man's literally almost 30 and he's still giving like
rise
gamer
and
speeches
grind,
on social
gamers.
media.
Oh
Like
yeah.
he went on a
Oh
whole
my god, I know
rant
what you're
about
talking
like
about.
cheaters and stuff, and it's funny. We're
Oh, we
almost at the
are.
end of this
We are.
episode. Fun
You want to
fact.
talk about
See
horror?
that? Well, look at that. We did do a
It
podcast.
would
We
be
talked about
horrific if we
horror.
just
You
so
know
happened
what?
to abruptly end the podcast episode like
It's
we
not wrong to French.
sometimes.
Well, I'm
This
not going to be
time.
doing that this time. Well, I mean, wouldn't it be funny if I did it this time?
Was that the bite of 87?